Hello and welcome back to my channel. You know how we've been talking about autism, right? Well, have you ever experienced level 9 advanced of it? If not, then come with me as we check out a brother's video where he narrates his story of how he experienced level 9 advanced autism. Now, this is a must watch, so grab your popcorns and let's get into it. Here's a brother's video.
A lot of y'all have experienced racism, but most of y'all haven't experienced level 9 advanced racism. I'm in a club in Italy walking inside of an elevator. As soon as I step inside, this promoter, she was a woman, puts her full palm on my chest and stiff arms my ass outside that elevator. And I'm a pretty big guy. You know how much force she had to put in that bitch to throw me out of the elevator? I'm looking inside the elevator and she has the biggest customer service smile I've ever seen in my life. Like she was doing my ass a favor. A thing that a lot of people don't realize is that Africans in most European countries are treated like shit. But the thing that she didn't realize was, although I am African, I'm also American. So I did what any American would do and I put my foot on the elevator, open that bitch and walk right in front of her. Everyone then begins to look up at me like, this money's bigger than I thought. She immediately begins to look down, continuing her customer service smile, and I begin to cuss her out. And I'm talking really cuss her out, like saying shit I ain't never said before. Like, do you know where I'm from? Did you put your hands on me? As soon as they heard that accent, that American accent, shit flips. Her coworker loses his shit. Hey, what floor did you want to go to? I said, hey, shut up your mouth. I'm not speaking to you right now. Push 3. And all of a sudden, this random man steps from the crowd and says, that is not us. That is not Italia. Everybody started talking about, that's not Italia. That's not Italia. That's not Italia. Oh, that shit had me hyped. I felt like Rosa Parks in that.
Now, after watching the video, it just rings a bell on how Africans in most European countries are treated. In as much as it is a sad story, it really is a brother's last part of the story for me. I'm just happy that he stood up for himself and defended himself. Let's now get to one of my favorite parts, which is the stitches, and just hear what people had to say about this in the stitches. Here are the stitches.
So I did what any American would do.
This whole thing is so funny because the reason why there's the switch up, right, is because they want our money. They want our American US dollars. And they know that when Black Americans travel, we tend to spend. We spend here too, but, you know, we spend a lot. And they want that tourism money. They love American tourists because they love American tourism money. And so this video blowing up is exactly what they didn't want, and which is why they flip so easy when they hear the American accent, because they're trying to keep the money going. And now their tourism might drop because this is Italia. Like, that's literally most of Europe, honestly.
Level 9
So I just want to start off this video by simply saying that anti-blackness is a worldwide problem. Like, there's no particular part of the world that has a monopoly about how anti-black they are towards people of color. And we know this to be true due to the many experiences that other people have had in other parts of the world. But I want to add something to the conversation while the conversation is still hot about what's currently going on in Palestine. Now, I've had many conversations with people, and they have told me it doesn't make sense for a person of color like myself to support the Palestinian people. The reason why it doesn't make sense for a person of color to support the Palestinian people is because they're racist towards people of color. So is America. But yet I'm expected to stand up and salute the flag anytime the national anthem is on. Not only that, anytime that I have addressed any kind of situations that have gone on towards any other minority group, I get told that I'm a problem to society, that I hate America, and all these other kind of things. It's become America's culture to pretty much victim blame people just because they're bringing up something that they experienced here in this country. Anytime that we do talk about all the stuff and racism, discrimination here on this app, matter of fact, you get told that you have a victimhood mentality. This is what prevents us from actually finding solutions about what we can do in order to better this country. Yet again, we are told that we need to support it just because we're born within it. I remember the time whenever Italy was going through this little problem with terrorists inside that subway, and how many people were changing their flag to the Italy flag to show support to that country. There are also people of color who are also changing their profile pic in order to show their support towards Italy, but yet nobody was having that kind of conversation. Nobody was telling people of color to not support Italy just because of how racist they are towards them. No, nobody was having that kind of conversation. But yet we still did it anyway. Anytime that there is a situation that's going on with groups of people who are currently losing their lives, their liberty, their identities, etc., you can almost guarantee that people of color are going to be one of the first group of people who are going to support those people who are currently losing those said things. So you're almost guaranteed to find people of color supporting the Palestinian people. Let me get going because it's time for me to get to work.
Did I hear my name? Because this sounds like a topic that I could talk about. I attended a French school from first grade all the way through 12th. On top of that, I lived in Italy. So I think I kind of know what's going on being black in Europe. See, the thing is, with Italy, their racism is outward. Like, I got spit on before. They are known to be very fascist. So that is not surprising. But France, French people, they will argue with you up and down to say that they are not racist, that they are just simply classist. A fact that I completely disagree. I think they're both. But when you grow up and you're seeing these images in children's books, and these are famous children's books, Asterix et Obélix, if you're a French kid, you know what I'm talking about. As a kid, I grew up reading books with these images. This up here. This up here. And this. And that's only from one children's comic book. And don't get me started about how they taught us history. But the whole French agenda is to assimilate, to become French. So long story short, remove your identity as a person of color and adopt their whiteness. Though you can never truly be fully white, but the better you pretend, the more accepted you are.
Level 9.
If you black and you visiting the land of the oppressor, you deserve to experience racism at the toughest and highest level. Y'all think if the colonizers' land and communities was worth anything, they would travel around the world, around the globe, colonizing other people's lands and taking away their culture? All these beautiful Afrocentric places, cold or hot, that you could go to, and y'all decide to go to the palm-colored people's land. Come on now, what you expecting?
What any American would do, and I put
that story. Look at his head. That story is hilarious because he said two things. He said, although I am African, I'm also American. So I just feel like, again, it's reiterating the fact that black people from all countries and continents, that we need to come together, because once they heard that he was American, they know that we will cut up. They know black Americans will cut up. Because ain't no way we paid our good money to be treated racist in another country. We'll clear it out. So we just all need to hang together, because if African people get treated poorly in Europe, but African Americans get treated well, they don't know which one is which until you open your mouth. So I need for them to be a little bit more cautious with how they treat my people, my black people, and us Americans, not black Americans, I know where we came from, don't matter, because they know that if this accent come out of my mouth and you cut up, we're gonna have a problem.
Did you see the video where that creator said he was shoved out of an elevator in Italy, but when they all found out he was American, they were like, this is not Italia, this is not Italia. That is very much Italia. That is Italy with its whole chest. I am so anti-Italy that if I was given an all-expenses-paid trip to the Amalfi Coast, Rome, wherever, I'm not going. Like I said in that video, thank you for the Renaissance, thank you for Nutella, Gucci, Prada, the other brands I can't afford. Let me tell you one thing. Give me all that, toss the rest of the country in the ocean. I spent 3 months in Italy in 2013, and then I went back in 2018 for a short while. And let me tell you, even after growing up in the southern United States, I have never experienced the overt disrespect and racism I experienced in Italy. I'm talking people avoiding me in the street. I'm talking people acting like I was there to rob them because I'm asking for directions. Stares of disgust, all-out rudeness, just microaggressions worse than I have experienced in America. I wrote all about this in 2018, so you can go ahead and check out my story on the New York Times. And to this day, people still message me to say that they've experienced the same things and they're happy to find out that they weren't alone. I actually met a couple nice people there, and one of my closest friends I met while I was studying abroad. The rest of that country, though, No. And if you don't believe me, just Google race relations in Italy.
American would do.
This is funny because it's so true. I traveled extensively as a veteran and just because I love to travel. Hell, last month I came from Kenya and I didn't have to do this in Kenya. Kenya is a beautiful country. All y'all need to go to. I'll go back a dozen times. Matter of fact, I'm trying to plan a trip for March because I absolutely loved it. You know what I'm saying? But the European country and some Asian countries, they gonna try you. I don't know when they see you, they see your skin or I don't know what they see. You know what I'm saying? But they gonna try you. You know what I'm saying? And you, as soon as you come at your mouth with that thick ass American accent, or maybe it's the look of American anger on your face, or maybe it's just the boisterousness of Americans when they do get upset, but they will begin to scramble to fix your problem. And I love that American privilege. Matter of fact, signal the fucking eagle screechers behind me and somebody put a fucking flag flying back here somewhere. You hear me?
Now, almost half of people of African descent in the EU face racism and discrimination in their daily life, a rise since 2016. Racist harassment and ethnic profiling are also common, especially for young people, find a new survey from the EU Agency for Fundamental Rights. Now, FRA calls on EU countries to take urgent steps to tackle racial discrimination and harassment to ensure everybody is treated equally and with dignity. Now, FRA's second being Black in EU report highlights experiences of people of African descent in the EU. Now, it shows that despite binding anti-discrimination law in the EU since 2000 and significant policy development since then, people of African descent continue to face racism, discrimination, and hate crime. Now, 45% say they experienced racial discrimination in the 5 years before the survey. In Germany and Austria, it goes over 70%. Now, most often, Black people are discriminated against when looking for work or searching for accommodation. Young people and Black people with higher education are most affected, yet discrimination remains invisible as only 9% reported. Now, 58% say that their most recent police stop in the year before the survey was a result of racial profiling. Those who perceive their stop as racial profiling trust the police less. Now, Black people are more likely to only temporary contracts and are overqualified for the job. Rising inflation and cost of living have put more people of African descent at risk of poverty compared to the general public. Now, some face difficulties to make ends meet, and 14% cannot afford to keep their house warm, compared with 18% and 7% of people generally. Now, finding a place to live is a struggle for many, with 31% saying they are racially discriminated against when trying to find accommodation. Now, my fellow people of African descent are 3 times more likely to leave school early. More parents in 2022 said that their children experience racism at school more than in 2016. Now, to tackle racism and discrimination effectively, FRA calls on EU countries to properly enforce anti-discrimination legislation, as well as effective, proportionate and dissuasive sanctions, identify and record hate crimes, and consider bias motivation as an aggravating circumstance when determining penalties. Collect equality data, including on ethnic or racial origin, to assess the situation and monitor progress. Ensure that equality bodies have necessary mandates and resources to tackle discrimination and support victims. Take steps to prevent and eradicate discriminatory institutional practices and culture in policing, drawing on FRA's guide on preventing unlawful profiling. Develop specific policies to address racism and racial discrimination in education, employment, housing, and healthcare. Now, according to FRA director, he said it is shocking to see no improvement since their last survey in 2016. Instead, people of African descent face ever more discrimination just because of their color of skin. And racism and discrimination should not have a place in our societies. The EU and its member states should use these findings to better target their efforts and ensure people of African descent too can enjoy their rights and freely without ostracism and discrimination. Let's now take a look at a few comments and hear what people had to say about this. Now, the first comment reads, "I went from anger to rage to full laughter. So did I." This one says, "This is not Italia, and yet none of them were gonna say or do anything to begin with. I was so happy when you didn't take the passive route. Thank you for standing your ground. Gone are the days." Okay, we have come to the end of the video. Kindly share what you think about this video, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in my next video.